Question 1. What is the primary purpose of the Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC? A. Regulating automotive sales. B. Overseeing Texas educational institutions. C. Regulating Texas real estate professionals. D. Managing Texas state parks. Answer: C. Regulating Texas real estate professionals. Explanation: the primary purpose of the Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC, is to regulate Texas real estate professionals, ensuring compliance with state laws and regulations. Question 2. Define the term homestead in the context of Texas real estate law. A. A type of commercial property. B. A primary residence protected by state law. C. Agricultural land used for farming. D. Rental property for tenants. Answer: B. A primary residence protected by state law. Explanation: in Texas real estate law, homestead refers to a primary residence that is protected under state law from creditors and property tax increases. Question 3. Explain the concept of community property as it applies in Texas. A. Property owned by the state. B. Property owned by a community group. C. Property owned jointly by a married couple. D. Property rented out to communities. Answer: C. Property owned jointly by a married couple. Explanation: community property in Texas refers to the concept where property acquired during marriage is owned jointly by the married couple. Question 4. Describe the role of a broker in Texas real estate transactions. A. A person who performs home inspections. B. A government official who approves property sales. C. A professional who facilitates real estate transactions. D. An individual who provides real estate financing. Answer: C. A professional who facilitates real estate transactions. Explanation: in Texas real estate transactions, a broker is a licensed professional who facilitates the buying, selling, or leasing of property. Question 5. What is a title search, and why is it important in Texas real estate transactions? A. A process to find suitable properties for sale. B. A search for property titles in public records. C. A background check on potential buyers. D. A survey to determine property boundaries. Answer: B. A search for property titles in public records. Explanation: a title search in Texas real estate transactions is a process of reviewing public records to ensure the property title is clear of issues such as lines or disputes. Question 6. Scenario: John and Jane are married and purchasing a home in Texas. If one of them dies, how does the state's community property law affect the ownership of the home? A. The surviving spouse automatically inherits the property. B. The property is sold and proceeds are divided. C. The property is transferred to the state. D. The property is divided among the couple's children. Answer: A. The surviving spouse automatically inherits the property. Explanation: under Texas community property law, if one spouse dies, the surviving spouse automatically inherits the deceased spouse's interest in the property. Question 7. In Texas, what is required for a valid real estate contract? A. A handshake agreement. B. Verbal agreement between parties. C. Written agreement signed by both parties. D. Approval from a real estate attorney. Answer: C. Written agreement signed by both parties. Explanation: for a real estate contract to be valid in Texas, it must be in writing and signed by both parties involved in the transaction. Question 8. How does Texas law define dual agency in a real estate transaction? A. Two agents representing the seller. B. One agent representing both the buyer and the seller. C. Separate agents for buyer and seller from the same company. D. An agent working for both a bank and a real estate company. Answer: B. One agent representing both the buyer and the seller. Explanation: dual agency in Texas real estate is defined as a single agent representing both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. Question 9. What are mineral rights in Texas, and how can they impact property ownership? A. Rights to use the property for mineral extraction. B. Rights to mine minerals anywhere in Texas. C. Rights to prohibit mining on the property. D. Rights to ownership of minerals found on public land. Answer. A. Rights to use the property for mineral extraction. Explanation. In Texas, mineral rights refer to the rights to use the property for the extraction of minerals, which can impact property ownership by allowing or restricting mining activities. Question 10. Scenario. A property owner sells their home but retains the mineral rights. What does this mean for the new homeowner? A. They can mine minerals on the property. B. They own the surface rights only. C. They must pay royalties for minerals. D. They have no rights to the property. Answer. B. They own the surface rights only. Explanation. If a property owner in Texas sells their home but retains the mineral rights, the new homeowner only owns the surface rights, not the rights to extract minerals. Question 11. Explain the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, in Texas real estate. A. A law that regulates trade between states. B. A consumer protection law against false advertising. C. A law governing international trade practices. D. A regulation for real estate commission rates. Answer. B. A consumer protection law against false advertising. Explanation. The Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, in Texas real estate is a consumer protection law that prohibits false, misleading, or deceptive practices, including in the advertising and sale of real estate. Question 12. What is a 1031 exchange, and how is it used in Texas real estate? A. A method for exchanging investment properties tax-deferred. B. A standard real estate contract form. C. A process for changing real estate agents. D. A way to transfer property titles. Answer. A. A method for exchanging investment properties tax-deferred. Explanation. A 1031 exchange in Texas real estate allows investors to defer capital gains taxes when they exchange one investment property for another of like kind. Question 13. Define encumbrance in the context of real estate. A. An increase in property value. B. A restriction or line on a property. C. A type of real estate insurance. D. An architectural style of a building. Answer. B. A restriction or line on a property. Explanation. In real estate, an encumbrance refers to any restriction or line placed on a property that may affect its use, value, or transferability. Question 14. Scenario. A Texas homeowner discovers a line on their property during a title search. What does this mean, and how can it be resolved? A. The property is free of debts. No action needed. B. The property has an unpaid debt that must be settled. C. The property requires a new title search. D. The property cannot be sold. Answer. B. The property has an unpaid debt that must be settled. Explanation. Discovering a line on a property during a title search indicates there is an unpaid debt associated with the property. This debt must be paid off to clear the title before the property can be sold or refinanced. Question 15. What is the significance of fair housing laws in Texas real estate practice? A. They regulate housing prices. B. They mandate energy efficiency in homes. C. They prohibit discrimination in housing. D. They require all houses to have a fair market value assessment. Answer. C. They prohibit discrimination in housing. Explanation. Fair housing laws in Texas real estate practice are significant because they prohibit discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status in the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings. Question 16. Explain the process of foreclosure in Texas. A. A legal process to evict tenants. B. A process where the lender takes ownership of a property due to non-payment. C. A method of refinancing a property. D. A government program for first-time homebuyers. Answer: B. A process where the lender takes ownership of a property due to non-payment. Explanation: foreclosure in Texas is a legal process where a lender takes ownership of a property after the borrower fails to make mortgage payments, ultimately leading to the sale of the property to recover the loan amount. Question 17. Describe the concept of easement and its importance in Texas real estate. A. A method of determining property value. B. A temporary suspension of property taxes. C. A right to use another's land for a specific purpose. D. A restriction on the height of buildings. Answer: C. A right to use another's land for a specific purpose. Explanation: an easement in Texas real estate is a right granted to a person or entity to use another's land for a specific purpose, such as for access or utility lines, while the property ownership remains with the original owner. Question 18. Scenario: a buyer in Texas discovers a discrepancy in the property's boundary lines. What steps should they take? A. Ignore the discrepancy as it is not legally significant. B. Request a new survey to clarify boundaries. C. Immediately back out of the purchase. D. Reduce the offer price for the property. Answer: B. Request a new survey to clarify boundaries. Explanation: if a buyer in Texas discovers a discrepancy in the property's boundary lines, they should request a new survey to accurately determine and clarify the property boundaries. Question 19. What are the responsibilities of a fiduciary in Texas real estate transactions? A. To provide financing for real estate transactions. B. To ensure the property meets building codes. C. To act in the best interest of the client. D. To manage property rentals. Answer: C. To act in the best interest of the client. Explanation: in Texas real estate transactions, a fiduciary is responsible for acting in the highest good and best interest of the client, maintaining loyalty and confidentiality. Question 20. Define market value and explain its relevance in real estate appraisals in Texas. A. The price a property will rent for. B. The cost of building a property. C. The price a property is likely to sell for under normal conditions. D. The tax-assessed value of a property. Answer: C. The price a property is likely to sell for under normal conditions. Explanation: market value in real estate appraisals refers to the estimated amount a property is likely to sell for under normal market conditions. It is crucial for setting appropriate selling prices and for property taxation purposes. Question 21. What is a non-homogeneity characteristic in real estate, and how does it impact property valuation in Texas? A. A policy that ensures equal pricing for all properties. B. The uniqueness of each property and its effect on value. C. A standard building code for residential properties. D. The uniformity in property tax assessments. Answer: B. The uniqueness of each property and its effect on value. Explanation: non-homogeneity in real estate refers to the uniqueness of each property, including location, structure, and amenities, which impacts its valuation due to no two properties being exactly alike. Question 22. Define agency disclosure in Texas real estate transactions. A. Disclosure of property defects. B. Announcement of open house dates. C. Revealing the relationship between agent and client. D. Providing a list of comparable properties. Answer: C. Revealing the relationship between agent and client. Explanation: agency disclosure in Texas real estate transactions involves revealing the nature of the relationship between the agent and the client, whether the agent represents the buyer, the seller, or both. Question 23. Scenario: Sarah, A Texas homeowner wants to sell her house, which has undisclosed foundation issues. What legal implications might arise if these issues are not disclosed to the buyer? A. No implications, as foundation issues are common. B. Potential legal action for non-disclosure. C. Increased property value due to the unique foundation. D. Requirement to refurbish the entire property. Answer: B. Potential legal action for non-disclosure. Explanation: if Sarah sells her house without disclosing the foundation issues, she could face legal action for non-disclosure, as sellers in Texas are required to disclose material defects like foundation problems to potential buyers. Question 24. In Texas, what are the legal requirements for a property disclosure statement? A. Optional for all property sales. B. Required only for commercial properties. C. Mandatory for all residential property sales. D. Required only at the buyer's request. Answer: C. Mandatory for all residential property sales. Explanation: in Texas, a property disclosure statement is legally required for all residential property sales. It must detail the condition of the property and disclose any known defects. Question 25. What does the term adverse possession mean in Texas property law? A. The act of purchasing a foreclosed property. B. Occupying and using another's land under certain conditions. C. The decrease in property value due to external factors. D. Disputes between neighbors over property boundaries. Answer: B. Occupying and using another's land under certain conditions. Explanation: adverse possession in Texas property law refers to occupying and using someone else's land for an extended period under certain conditions, which can lead to acquiring legal title to the property. Question 26. Scenario: a Texas landlord intends to evict a tenant for non-payment of rent. Outline the legal process the landlord must follow. A. Immediate eviction without notice. B. Providing a written notice followed by legal proceedings. C. Withholding essential services until the tenant leaves. D. Selling the property to force the tenant out. Answer: B. Providing a written notice followed by legal proceedings. Explanation: in Texas, a landlord must provide the tenant with a written notice of eviction due to non-payment of rent, followed by legal proceedings if the tenant does not comply. Question 27. Explain the significance of earnest money in a Texas real estate transaction. A. A tax imposed on property sales. B. A refundable deposit for property viewing. C. A good faith deposit to secure a transaction. D. Payment for the real estate agent's services. Answer: C. A good faith deposit to secure a transaction. Explanation: earnest money in Texas real estate is a deposit made by a buyer to demonstrate their good faith and intention to complete the transaction, typically held in an escrow account. Question 28. How does Texas law define a real estate brokerage? A. A bank specializing in property loans. B. A firm that manages real estate agents. C. An individual providing real estate advice. D. A government agency regulating property sales. Answer: B. A firm that manages real estate agents. Explanation: a real estate brokerage in Texas is defined as a firm or company that manages real estate agents and oversees real estate transactions, ensuring legal compliance and professionalism. Question 29. Scenario: a Texas real estate agent represents both the buyer and the seller in a transaction. What must the agent do to comply with Texas law regarding dual representation? A. Refuse to represent either party. B. Provide full disclosure and obtain written consent from both parties. C. Represent only the buyer's interests. D. Represent only the seller's interests. Answer: B. Provide full disclosure and obtain written consent from both parties. Explanation: in Texas, if a real estate agent represents both the buyer and the seller, dual agency, They must provide full disclosure of the dual representation to both parties and obtain written consent from them. Question 30. What are riparian rights, and how do they apply to Texas properties adjacent to bodies of water? A. Rights to access public utilities. B. Rights of landlords over tenants. C. Water rights for properties adjoining rivers or streams. D. Rights to restrict public access to waterways. Answer: C. Water rights for properties adjoining rivers or streams. Explanation: the riparian rights in Texas refer to the rights of property owners whose land adjoins rivers or streams, allowing them reasonable use of the water, such as for irrigation or domestic use. Question 31. Define cap rate and its relevance in Texas real estate investments. A. A limit on property tax increases. B. The ratio of rent to property value. C. A measure of investment properties' profitability. D. The maximum commission for real estate agents. Answer: C. A measure of investment properties' profitability. Explanation: the cap rate, or capitalization rate, in Texas real estate investments is a measure used to assess the profitability and return potential of an investment property, calculated by dividing the net operating income by the property's value. Question 32. Scenario: in Texas, a commercial property is leased with a triple net lease. Explain what this means for the tenant's responsibilities. A. The tenant pays only the rent. B. The tenant pays rent plus utilities. C. The tenant pays rent, taxes, insurance, and maintenance. D. The tenant is responsible for property renovations. Answer: C. The tenant pays rent, taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Explanation: a triple net lease in Texas means that the tenant is responsible for paying the base rent, plus a portion of the property's taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs, in addition to any other agreed expenses. Question 33. What does zoning entail in Texas real estate, and how can it affect property use? A. Decorating styles allowed in a neighborhood. B. Division of land into districts with specific regulations. C. The process of increasing property value. D. Assigning schools for residential areas. Answer: B. Division of land into districts with specific regulations. Explanation: zoning in Texas real estate involves dividing land into different zones or districts, each with specific regulations regarding land use, building sizes, and types of structures allowed, which affects how properties in those areas can be used. Question 34. Explain the concept of equity in a real estate context in Texas. A. The fair market value of a property. B. The difference between the property's value and outstanding mortgage. C. The amount of the down payment on a property. D. The total amount of mortgage payments made. Answer: B. The difference between the property's value and outstanding mortgage. Explanation: in Texas real estate, equity refers to the difference between the current market value of a property and the amount still owed on its mortgage. It represents the owner's financial interest in the property. Question 35. Scenario: a couple is buying a home in Texas. The survey reveals an encroachment by a neighbor's fence. What are their options? A. Ignore the encroachment as it's minor. B. Request the neighbor to move the fence. C. Seek a court order for removal. D. Automatically gain ownership of the encroached land. Answer: B. Request the neighbor to move the fence. Explanation: when a survey in Texas reveals a neighbor's fence encroaching on a property, the couple's option includes discussing with the neighbor to have the fence moved or potentially seeking legal remedies if an agreement cannot be reached. Question 36. What is the purpose of a title insurance policy in Texas real estate transactions? A. To insure the property against damages. B. To protect against defects in the title. C. To cover home inspection costs. D. To insure the property's appliances. Answer: B. To protect against defects in the title. Explanation: The purpose of a title insurance policy in Texas real estate transactions is to protect buyers and lenders against any defects or issues with the property's title, such as liens, encumbrances, or legal claims. Question 37. Describe the process of obtaining a real estate license in Texas. A. Completing a short online application. B. Passing a background check only. C. Completing required education and passing a state exam. D. Obtaining a recommendation from a licensed broker. Answer: C. Completing required education and passing a state exam. Explanation: to obtain a real estate license in Texas, an individual must complete the required educational courses, pass a background check, and then pass the state licensing exam. Question 38. Scenario: a real estate agent in Texas accidentally provides incorrect information about a property's square footage. What are the potential consequences? A. Immediate revocation of the agent's license. B. No consequences as it's considered a minor error. C. Possible legal action for misrepresentation. D. Mandatory retraining for the agent. Answer: C. Possible legal action for misrepresentation. Explanation: if a real estate agent in Texas provides incorrect information about a property's square footage, they could face potential legal consequences for misrepresentation, especially if the error impacts the transaction. Question 39. How does Texas law regulate the use and management of escrow accounts in real estate transactions? A. No regulations. It's up to each brokerage. B. Strict regulations for handling and reporting funds. C. Only banks are allowed to manage escrow accounts. D. Escrow accounts are not used in Texas. Answer: B. Strict regulations for handling and reporting funds. Explanation: Texas law imposes strict regulations on the use and management of escrow accounts in real estate transactions, ensuring that funds are handled properly and transparently to protect all parties involved. Question 40. Define subagent in the context of Texas real estate practice. A. An agent who works under a broker. B. A secondary agent in a transaction. C. An agent representing the buyer only. D. A government official overseeing transactions. Answer: A. An agent who works under a broker. Explanation: in Texas real estate practice, a subagent is an agent who works under the supervision and authority of a broker, often assisting in transactions on behalf of the broker's clients. Question 41. What is comparative market analysis, CEMA, and how is it used in Texas real estate? A. A legal report on property zoning. B. An assessment of property taxes. C. A report comparing similar properties to determine market value. D. A survey of property owners' opinions on market trends. Answer: C. A report comparing similar properties to determine market value. Explanation: comparative market analysis, CEMA, in Texas real estate is a report used to determine the market value of a property by comparing it to similar properties that have recently sold, are currently on the market, or were unsuccessfully listed. Question 42. Define redlining and discuss its legal implications in the context of Texas real estate. A. Outlining property boundaries in red ink. B. The practice of refusing loans in certain neighborhoods. C. Marking properties that are hazardous. D. Highlighting areas for potential development. Answer: B. The practice of refusing loans in certain neighborhoods. Explanation: redlining is the discriminatory practice where financial institutions refuse or limit loans, mortgages, insurance, etc., within specific geographic areas, often based on the racial or ethnic composition of the area. In Texas, as in the rest of the U.S., redlining is illegal and has significant legal implications. Question 43. Scenario: in Texas, a real estate investor purchases a property at a foreclosure auction. What are the potential risks or limitations associated with such a purchase? A. The property may have hidden damage. B. There are no risks in foreclosure auctions. C. The property is always in perfect condition. D. The investor can resell immediately for a higher price. Answer. A. The property may have hidden damage. Explanation. Buying a property at a foreclosure auction in Texas can be risky as the property is often sold as is, and the buyer may not have the opportunity to inspect the property beforehand, potentially leading to unseen damages or issues. Question 44. Explain the concept of conforming loans and their importance in Texas real estate financing. A. Loans that conform to government-set standards. B. Loans with flexible repayment terms. C. Personal loans used for property purchases. D. High-risk loans with higher interest rates. Answer. A. Loans that conform to government-set standards. Explanation. Conforming loans are mortgages that meet specific guidelines set by government-sponsored entities like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. In Texas, these loans are important because they typically offer lower interest rates and are easier to sell on the secondary mortgage market. Question 45. What are the legal responsibilities of a Texas real estate agent in a transaction involving a short sale? A. To ensure the property sells for the highest price. B. To negotiate a reduction in the mortgage balance with the lender. C. To find a buyer within a short period. D. To provide legal advice to the seller. Answer. B. To negotiate a reduction in the mortgage balance with the lender. Explanation. In a Texas short sale transaction, the real estate agent's responsibility includes negotiating with the lender to accept a sale price that's less than the balance owed on the mortgage, as the property value has fallen below the debt amount. Question 46. Scenario. A Texas homeowner wants to convert their primary residence into a rental property. What legal and tax implications should they consider? A. Changing homeowner's insurance to landlord insurance. B. There are no legal or tax implications. C. Immediate increase in property value. D. Reduction in property taxes. Answer. A. Changing homeowner's insurance to landlord insurance. Explanation. When converting a primary residence into a rental property in Texas, legal and tax implications include changing homeowner's insurance to landlord insurance, understanding landlord-tenant laws, and potential changes in tax deductions and liabilities. Question 47. In Texas, how does the statute of frauds relate to real estate contracts? A. It requires all real estate contracts to be in writing. B. It allows verbal real estate contracts. C. It pertains only to fraud cases in real estate. D. It regulates real estate advertising. Answer. A. It requires all real estate contracts to be in writing. Explanation. The statute of frauds in Texas mandates that certain contracts, including those for the sale of real estate, must be in writing and signed to be legally enforceable to prevent fraudulent claims and misunderstandings. Question 48. What is the Texas homestead exemption and how does it benefit homeowners? A. A discount on home insurance. B. A reduction in property taxes for the primary residence. C. Exemption from all property taxes. D. A grant for first-time homebuyers. Answer. B. A reduction in property taxes for the primary residence. Explanation. The Texas homestead exemption provides homeowners with a reduction in their property taxes for their primary residence, helping to lower the annual tax burden. Question 49. Scenario. A buyer in Texas discovers that the home they purchased has undisclosed easements. What recourse do they have? A. No recourse as easements are public records. B. Request an immediate refund. C. Seek legal action for nondisclosure. D. Apply for a zoning change. Answer. C. Seek legal action for nondisclosure. Explanation. If a buyer in Texas discovers undisclosed easements after purchasing a property, they may have recourse to seek legal action against the seller for nondisclosure, especially if the easements adversely affect the property's use or value. Question 50. How does Texas law address the issue of lead-based paint in residential properties? A. No regulations concerning lead-based paint. B. Mandatory removal of all lead-based paint. C. Require disclosure for homes built before 1978. D. Prohibition of selling properties with lead-based paint. Answer. C. Require disclosure for homes built before 1978. Explanation. In Texas, as per federal law, sellers and landlords of homes built before 1978 are required to disclose the presence of lead-based paint, providing buyers and tenants with known information and a pamphlet about lead hazards. Question 51. Define gross rent multiplier, GRM, and its application in evaluating Texas rental properties. A. A tax multiplier for rental income. B. A measure of rental income potential relative to property price. C. The number of units available for rent. D. A calculation for setting rent prices. Answer. B. A measure of rental income potential relative to property price. Explanation. The gross rent multiplier, GRM, is a metric used in Texas to evaluate rental properties, calculated by dividing the property price by the gross rental income. It helps investors assess the property's income potential and compare different properties. Question 52. Scenario. A Texas property is listed as pending sale. Explain what this means and the potential outcomes. A. The property is no longer available for sale. B. The sale is complete and the property is sold. C. The property is under contract but not yet sold. D. The property is temporarily off the market. Answer. C. The property is under contract but not yet sold. Explanation. When a property in Texas is listed as pending sale, it means that an offer has been accepted and the property is under contract, but the sale is not yet finalized. The sale could still fall through due to various reasons, such as financing issues or inspection problems. Question 53. What is a real estate syndicate and how do they operate in Texas? A. A government agency overseeing real estate. B. A group of investors pooling resources to invest in properties. C. A real estate advertising firm. D. A type of real estate insurance company. Answer. B. A group of investors pooling resources to invest in properties. Explanation. A real estate syndicate in Texas is a group of investors who pool their capital to invest in large-scale real estate ventures. This collaboration allows individuals to participate in larger investments than they could afford individually. Question 54. Explain property tax assessments and their impact on homeowners in Texas. A. Assessments determine eligibility for home loans. B. The process of evaluating a property's value for tax purposes. C. Assessments decide on property zoning. D. They are surveys of property conditions. Answer. B. The process of evaluating a property's value for tax purposes. Explanation. Property tax assessments in Texas involve determining the market value of a property to calculate property taxes. Higher assessments lead to higher property taxes, directly impacting homeowners' financial responsibilities. Question 55. Scenario. A commercial property in Texas is being appraised. What factors are considered in the appraisal process? A. The property's color and style. B. Property location, condition, and income potential. C. The owner's personal financial status. D. The number of employees in the business. Answer. B. Property location, condition, and income potential. Explanation. When appraising a commercial property in Texas, factors such as the property's location, physical condition, income-producing potential, and current market conditions are considered to determine its value. Question 56. In Texas, what constitutes a breach of contract in real estate transactions? A. Changing real estate agents during a transaction. B. Failure to perform any term of the contract without a legal excuse. C. Selling a property below market value. D. Disagreeing with the property appraisal. Answer. B. Failure to perform any term of the contract without a legal excuse. Explanation. A breach of contract in Texas real estate transactions occurs when either party fails to perform a term or condition of the contract without a legal excuse, such as not completing agreed repairs or failing to close the sale as scheduled. Question 57. How does seller financing work in a Texas real estate transaction? A. The seller pays the buyer's closing costs. B. The buyer obtains a loan from a bank. C. The seller provides the loan to the buyer. D. The buyer pays in full without a loan. Answer. C. The seller provides the loan to the buyer. Explanation. In seller financing in Texas, the seller extends credit to the buyer to purchase the property. The buyer then repays the seller, typically through monthly payments under agreed terms. Question 58. Scenario. A Texas couple is buying a home with a VA loan. What are the unique aspects of this type of loan? A. Higher interest rates for veterans. B. Available only to first-time homebuyers. C. No down payment and no private mortgage insurance required. D. Shorter loan terms and immediate repayment. Answer. C. No down payment and no private mortgage insurance required. Explanation. A VA loan, available to veterans and their families in Texas, offers unique benefits such as no down payment requirement and no need for private mortgage insurance, making it an attractive option for eligible homebuyers. Question 59. What are wetlands and how can they affect property development in Texas? A. Areas for water storage and flood control. B. Land designated for agricultural use. C. Areas saturated with water, affecting building restrictions. D. Regions designated for commercial development. Answer. C. Areas saturated with water, affecting building restrictions. Explanation. Wetlands are areas saturated by surface or groundwater, significant for their ecosystem. In Texas, development in wetlands is heavily regulated, often requiring special permits and adherence to environmental protection standards. Question 60. Define amortization and its significance in real estate mortgages in Texas. A. The process of increasing a loan amount. B. The division of a loan into equal payments over time. C. The increase in property value over time. D. The assessment of mortgage eligibility. Answer. B. The division of a loan into equal payments over time. Explanation. Amortization in real estate mortgages refers to the process of dividing the loan into regular, typically monthly, payments that cover both the principal and interest over a set period until the loan is fully paid off. Question 61. What is a buyer's market in Texas real estate, and how does it affect the buying process? A. A market where sellers outnumber buyers, giving buyers more leverage. B. A market dominated by real estate agents. C. A market with high property prices. D. A market where buyers are required to pay in cash. Answer. A. A market where sellers outnumber buyers, giving buyers more leverage. Explanation. A buyer's market in Texas real estate is characterized by a situation where there are more homes for sale than buyers. This typically gives buyers more leverage in terms of negotiating power, potentially leading to lower prices and more favorable terms. Question 62. Define line priority in Texas and its significance in real estate transactions. A. The order of importance of interior decorations. B. The sequence in which lines on a property are paid off. C. The priority of real estate agents in a transaction. D. The preference for certain types of property inspections. Answer. B. The sequence in which lines on a property are paid off. Explanation. Line priority in Texas refers to the order in which lines against a property are paid off, especially during foreclosure. It determines which creditors get paid first and is crucial in real estate transactions for understanding financial risks. Question 63. Scenario. A Texas property owner discovers an old unrecorded easement on their land. How should they proceed? A. Ignore it since it's unrecorded. B. Have the easement legally recorded. C. Immediately remove the easement. D. Sell the property quickly. Answer. B. Have the easement legally recorded. Explanation. If a Texas property owner discovers an old unrecorded easement, they should have it legally recorded to acknowledge its existence and understand its implications. This ensures clarity in property rights and responsibilities. Question 64. In Texas, what is the legal definition of real property as opposed to personal property? A. Real property is movable. Personal property is immovable. B. Real property includes land and buildings. Personal property is movable items. C. Real property is for residential use. Personal property for commercial use. D. Real property is leased. Personal property is owned. Answer. B. Real property includes land and buildings. Personal property is movable items. Explanation. In Texas, real property refers to immovable property, such as land and buildings attached to it. In contrast, personal property includes movable items like furniture, vehicles, or personal belongings. Question 65. What are deed restrictions in Texas, and how can they impact property use? A. Guidelines for the architectural style of a property. B. Legal restrictions in a deed that dictate how a property can be used. C. Restrictions on selling a property within a certain time frame. D. Limitations on the financing options for a property. Answer. B. Legal restrictions in a deed that dictate how a property can be used. Explanation. Deed restrictions in Texas are legal provisions placed in a property's deed that set rules for how the property can be used, such as types of structures allowed, usage of the property, or aesthetic guidelines. Question 66. Scenario. A Texas real estate agent is accused of steering. Explain what this means and the potential consequences. A. Directing clients to or away from certain neighborhoods based on bias. B. Guiding clients towards more expensive properties. C. Steering negotiations in favor of the seller. D. Leading clients to choose specific mortgage lenders. Answer. A. Directing clients to or away from certain neighborhoods based on bias. Explanation. Steering in Texas real estate refers to the unethical and illegal practice of directing clients towards or away from certain neighborhoods based on discriminatory factors like race, religion, or socioeconomic status. This can lead to legal consequences and penalties. Question 67. How does the Texas Property Code define constructive eviction? A. Voluntarily vacating a property due to unsuitable conditions. B. Being forced to leave a property due to legal eviction proceedings. C. A tenant leaving a property after receiving a rent increase. D. A landlord making necessary repairs to a property. Answer. A. Voluntarily vacating a property due to unsuitable conditions. Explanation. Constructive eviction in Texas occurs when a tenant is forced to leave a rental property because the landlord has failed to provide suitable living conditions, effectively evicting the tenant without going through formal eviction proceedings. Question 68. Explain the role of a home inspector in Texas real estate transactions. A. To ensure the home is aesthetically pleasing. B. To provide legal advice on property transactions. C. To assess the property's condition and identify potential issues. D. To determine the property's market value. Answer. C. To assess the property's condition and identify potential issues. Explanation. The role of a home inspector in Texas real estate transactions is to conduct a thorough examination of the property, assessing its condition and identifying any existing or potential issues that may affect the value or safety of the property. Question 69. Scenario. A Texas homeowner is facing foreclosure. What options are available to them to avoid losing their home? A. Wait for the foreclosure to be completed. B. Immediately sell the property at auction. C. Seek a loan modification, forbearance, or a short sale. D. Leave the property and rent it out. Answer. C. Seek a loan modification, forbearance, or a short sale. Explanation. A Texas homeowner facing foreclosure can explore options such as loan modification, forbearance, temporary pause or reduction in mortgage payments, or arranging a short sale to avoid losing their home. Question 70. What is property flipping and how is it viewed in Texas real estate law? A. Changing property zoning categories. B. Quickly reselling a property for profit, often after renovations. C. Exchanging properties among family members. D. Refinancing a property multiple times. Answer. B. Quickly reselling a property for profit, often after renovations. Explanation. Property flipping in Texas involves purchasing a property, often at a low price, making improvements or renovations, and then quickly reselling it for a profit. While legal, it must be done ethically and transparently to avoid fraud or deceptive practices. Question 71. In Texas, describe the process and legal requirements for a 1031 like-kind exchange. A. Swapping similar properties with no legal requirements. B. Exchanging properties of similar value without any time constraints. C. Deferring capital gains tax by exchanging similar properties within specific time frames. D. Trading properties only within the same city. Answer. C. Deferring capital gains tax by exchanging similar properties within specific time frames. Explanation. A 1031 like-kind exchange in Texas allows property owners to defer capital gains taxes by exchanging properties of a similar nature. There are specific legal requirements, including time frames for identifying and closing on the new property. Question 72. Scenario. A Texas property is subject to a life estate. Explain what this means for the life tenant and the remainderman. A. The life tenant owns the property until death, then it passes to the remainderman. B. The remainderman can use the property until the life tenant's death. C. The life tenant rents the property from the remainderman. D. Both parties have equal rights to the property at all times. Answer. A. The life tenant owns the property until death, then it passes to the remainderman. Explanation. In a life estate in Texas, the life tenant has the right to use and enjoy the property during their lifetime. After their death, the property automatically passes to the remainderman, who is the ultimate owner. Question 73. Define specific performance in the context of Texas real estate contracts. A. Performing specific repairs before a sale. B. The exact execution of contract terms as a legal remedy. C. A specific clause related to property inspections. D. Meeting certain performance metrics in sales. Answer. B. The exact execution of contract terms as a legal remedy. Explanation. Specific performance in Texas real estate contracts refers to a legal remedy where a court orders the exact fulfillment of contract terms, typically used in cases where monetary compensation is not adequate, such as in unique property transactions. Question 74. What is the significance of appraisal district in Texas property taxation? A. A district designated for luxury properties. B. A division responsible for determining property values for tax purposes. C. An area with standardized property prices. D. A zone where property taxes are waived. Answer. B. A division responsible for determining property values for tax purposes. Explanation. An appraisal district in Texas is a local government entity responsible for assessing the value of properties within a designated area for property taxation purposes. These assessments determine the amount of property tax owed by each property owner. Question 75. Scenario. A real estate investor in Texas is considering a tax-deferred exchange. What does this entail and what are the benefits? A. Exchanging investment properties to defer capital gains taxes. B. Exchanging properties to avoid all taxes. C. Swapping properties with another investor for immediate tax benefits. D. Trading properties to reduce property tax. Answer. A. Exchanging investment properties to defer capital gains taxes. Explanation. A tax-deferred exchange, often referred to as a 1031 exchange, allows real estate investors in Texas to defer capital gains taxes by exchanging one investment property for another. The main benefit is the deferral of taxes, which can provide significant financial leverage. Question 76. How do Texas laws regulate property management activities? A. No specific regulations for property management. B. Mandatory licensing and adherence to specific operational standards. C. Self-regulation by property management companies. D. Oversight by the Texas Real Estate Commission only for commercial properties. Answer. B. Mandatory licensing and adherence to specific operational standards. Explanation. Texas laws regulate property management activities by requiring property managers to be licensed and to adhere to specific operational standards. This ensures professionalism and protection for both property owners and tenants. Question 77. What is equitable title in Texas real estate, and when does it occur in a transaction? A. Full ownership of a property after the mortgage is paid off. B. A title held by the bank until the mortgage is paid. C. An interest in a property that gives the right to acquire legal title. D. A shared title between the buyer and seller during a transaction. Answer. C. An interest in a property that gives the right to acquire legal title. Explanation. In Texas real estate, equitable title occurs when a buyer enters into a contract to purchase a property. It gives the buyer an interest in the property and the right to acquire full legal title upon meeting contract terms, typically after closing. Question 78. Scenario. In Texas, a buyer backs out of a real estate contract during the option period. What are the implications for the earnest money? A. The buyer forfeits the earnest money. B. The earnest money is automatically doubled. C. The buyer receives a full refund of the earnest money. D. The earnest money is split between the buyer and seller. Answer. C. The buyer receives a full refund of the earnest money. Explanation. In Texas, if a buyer backs out of a real estate contract during the option period, they are typically entitled to a full refund of their earnest money. The option period allows the buyer to terminate the contract for any reason. Question 79. Explain the concept of market absorption rate and its importance in Texas real estate. A. The rate at which rental properties are occupied. B. The speed at which properties are sold in a specific market. C. The rate of new construction in an area. D. The percentage of properties that fail to sell. Answer. B. The speed at which properties are sold in a specific market. Explanation. The market absorption rate in Texas real estate refers to the rate at which available homes are sold in a particular market during a given time period. It's important as it indicates the supply and demand dynamics, influencing pricing and marketing strategies. Question 80. In Texas, what are the requirements and limitations for advertising real estate services? A. No restrictions on advertising methods. B. Must include the broker's name and be truthful and non-deceptive. C. Only digital advertising is allowed. D. Advertising only allowed for properties over a certain value. Answer. B. Must include the broker's name and be truthful and non-deceptive. Explanation. In Texas, advertising real estate services must include the name of the broker and adhere to standards of truthfulness and non-deception. This ensures transparency and fairness in real estate marketing and protects consumers from misleading information.